Unite or you will fall.
The scenery outside reminds me of my pride, reminds me of my will. At the windowsill, I sit and see the graves, the children they all play and laugh amongst themselves. Somehow remind me of myself on the merry-go-round.
What's going on, everybody? It's Trev. I got to tell you, for the last hour or two, I've been fighting with myself as to whether or not I should even make this video. I spent a little time this morning, kind of on X, Twitter, also on YouTube. I saw a video by Happy Caddy Crypto about new development teams and a team that he created and some different things that pertaining to the tax and the gas and everything. And, it was pretty interesting. And then I started sifting through X and going through some different tweets. And, I found that it was pretty much all the same as every time I decide to just take a quick look and see what's going on with Terra Classic, with LUNC. And, sorry, everybody knows, it's been like a year since I've really been involved with Terra Classic in any real capacity. It was the first quarter of last year that I was on the Community Oversight Committee. And I announced at the end of that I would be leaving after that quarter. I mean, the Community Oversight Committee didn't go on after that anyway, because other people left, and it just didn't seem like it was really even necessary anymore. But I left that, and then shortly after that, I told everybody that I was undelegating my LUNC, and considering whether or not I was just going to sell it. And I ultimately did sell it, kept a handful, right? And so what would I really have to offer? I haven't been paying attention. I don't even know, where necessarily to go and read proposals. Everything's moved around so much. What did I really have to offer in way of anything constructive or anything that anybody would even care about? And I can't even say that anybody's still going to care about this. But I thought to myself this, you know what? There are a lot of people, I'm sure, like myself, it's been almost 2 years, who maybe got involved, invested in LUNC, and then just kind of let it sit, pop in every once in a while to see what's going on, take a peek at the price, whatever. And also, there are probably a lot of people that say, hey, the Terra Classic, that LUNC chain is still active. Last I knew they were rebuilding it. They were doing this, they were doing that. Let me look into it. Let me check it out. Maybe I want to build on it. Maybe I want to invest in it, whatever. So people constantly, new eyes or even old eyes, are checking in to see what's happening, which is what I did today. Now, I don't know that the powers that be or the community or whatever even cares that this is going on or is really, aware of it, like consciously aware of it. But obviously it happens. And if anybody does care, because I think it's important how the chain looks to people who are determining whether they want to get invested or whether they want to stay invested or build or whatever, it's important the way it looks. Before you even get to checking out, the supply or the price or the holders or the wallets or the, any of those other things, the easiest thing to do, probably for most people, is to just jump on socials and see what's going on with the community. How's everything going? And then you can kind of follow from there, right? So I want to take you to, I got stuck this morning on one particular thread. And I could go through a million threads with you, and unfortunately, they would all kind of look the same. But I got stuck on this one particular one, and I want to give you a couple ideas of mine about it, give you a perspective that you may like, you may not like, but I think is probably good for you to hear anyway, right? So let me take you Let me take you over here for a second. Let me find it. All right. We're going to go here. Now, I was poking through, and I think it was Full Luna or something that retweeted something, and that, then I just started following the link. And I could even go back further than this, but I came here, and I'll show you a couple of different things. Now, this is from Strathcole, at Cole Strathclyde. And most people probably watching this video know who Strathcole is. Strath was on the Community Oversight Committee with me last year. Strath is partnered with Happy Caddy Crypto. They, I believe, created the Penguins website together, and they've done a lot of other things together. A lot of development kind of stuff. From what I understand now, from what I'm seeing, Strath and maybe Vin and Frag and Superman, I guess, are formulating one L1 team that is working on the chain, I believe. Again, I'd have to look more carefully into it, but I think that's what I'm seeing. So anyway, I came across this, and I'll read a little bit of it to you. It says, as we have reached Q1 of 2024, we've been presented different groups' proposals and or plans for the next weeks and months in Terra Classic. So now, if they are developing, and it works anything like it worked last year, things go to governance. If they pass governance and move on to, the stage where it's actually ready to be developed, this stuff will come up to the teams who are actually doing this development, and then they'll, go through their various determinations as to what they're going to work on first, next, last, whatever, right? So I've been asked about the Moon Rabbit Vision document. Again, I had no idea what this was until I kind of read this. And read it carefully to get an impression of what's contained and what is not. I'll give my personal opinion here about the paper, but also the published team information. Verify it yourself. Don't only trust my words. Very good disclaimer always, right? Do your own research. First of all, while the group has criticized the L1TF or others for presumably trying to centralize things, this already set the tone for me. I kind of already knew where this was going, but I gave it the benefit of the doubt. This roadmap is even worse in that regard. I want to read that again because it's kind of important. First of all, while the group has criticized the L1 task force or others for presumably trying to centralize things, this roadmap is even worse in that regard. All right, hold on to that for a second. It aims to take control of all aspects of the chain: funding, L1 development, official website in L2, marketing, and others. Even the LA DAO is on the table to act as central point of contact for contractors. This is not the preached decentralization, it's centralization in a different guise. Second, while demanding transparency and accountability from others, the whole team refuses to do the exact same thing. Most core members I am aware of refuse to speak in AMAs or spaces. This does not, I repeat, not refer to doxing at all. It is not necessary to dox to any community member, nor to provide any personal information to L1 or other community members. Now, okay, I agree with that. But I agree with it to a certain degree. I always thought that anyone who was working on the chain, developing on the chain, and asking money of the chain, and you'll see here that it looks like this group isn't asking any money from the community pool. Anyone who's asking money from the chain should somewhat dox, if not publicly, at least to one of those kind of official companies that you can dox to, KYC, whatever it is that you're going to do. But there should be some accountability. Now, I don't know to what extent Strathcole is doxed. I don't think, matter of fact, I'm pretty aware, I guess, that his buddy and partner there, HCC, Happy Caddy Crypto, wants very much, and I think there are some people who do know who he was. I think that information was kind of out there at one time, but he wants very much so to keep his anonymity for, very good reasons, family reasons, things like that. Not only that, we've seen people who have been doxxed who have just been straight up harassed, threatened, various things. So I don't disagree with it, but I think if you're going to work on the chain, if you're going to take any money at all from the chain, then I think that there should be some level of doxing. But again, that's just my opinion. Fourth, the team preaches unity, cooperation, and inclusion. They also complain about not respecting governance. At the same time, they insist on using their old Commonwealth for discussion instead of governance-approved community forum. Now, it used to be Agora, right? Then, nobody wanted to use Agora anymore because it was just a shit show. Everybody coming in and bitching and moaning and just causing all kind of problems, right? So then it moved to this Commonwealth thing, which I never even kind of moved to. I was already out by then. But I think it moved to Commonwealth, and from what I was reading here and there, it seemed like the same thing was happening there. And now there's, I guess, apparently been a governance-approved community forum. Is this a new Commonwealth? Is this something totally else? But apparently this came up for governance, that this was going to be where people were going to discuss proposals and whatever's going on in the chain. It passed governance, and so now everybody is supposed to move there, or everybody's supposed to have these discussions there. But this particular group decides that they're going to hold their discussions in the previous forum, okay? There's a bunch going on here, and I'm not, you can read through the rest of this. It's basically just kind of more of the same, point by point, kind of tearing apart a little bit this group and whatever paper it was that they submitted. Gets the point across that Strathcole isn't necessary for them, okay? But yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot, I'm sorry about all the dings and whatever. This happens to me all day. There's a lot to kind of unpack. Now, I want to go back to the top a little bit, and I told you to hold on to this for a second. This whole thing about centralization versus decentralization. I kind of said this in my last video. If you happen to watch that video, not a lot of people did because they don't like to hear anything real or true or honest. But it's been almost 2 years. And again, if I were to scroll through as somebody just coming in and peeking and seeing what's going on, if I were to scroll through X, I bet you if I would even go on any of these other forums, whether they're community approved or not, I would find the same thing. Division, arguments, a tug of war. Everyone has a different idea, right? Look at it like this. Let's say that there's a big pot on a fire in the middle of this hall, right? And the idea is we're going to make chicken soup in that pot. And you got 20, 30, I don't know, who cares, people around. And everybody is going to make chicken soup, right? But there's not one recipe. Everybody is able to just kind of put in whatever they want to put in this pot to try to hopefully come up with a really good chicken soup. It's an open source chicken soup pot, right? So somebody throws in some cubes of chicken breast. Somebody else throws in some thighs with the bones because they want that flavor. Somebody throws in some rice. Somebody puts in, they fill the pot up halfway with water. Then somebody else comes in and says, no, you need much more water. So they put more water in. Then they're throwing in parsley. And somebody throws in, like a shitload of salt. And then somebody says, well, we need some pepper. We need paprika. And then somebody's like, hey, cheese might be good in there, right? The thing is, everybody has their own different idea of what is going to be good to ultimately make this chicken soup. But if you've got a bunch of people throwing in whatever they think is good, what are the chances at the end of it all that you're actually going to have a really good chicken soup that anybody's going to want to eat, right? It sounds like a huge mess is being created. There's not one recipe. There's not one plan. There's no head chef saying, yes, you can put that in. No, you can't put that in. There's none of that. Everybody can throw in whatever they want. Somebody could throw in a cat if that's what they wanted to do, right? Now, I know what you're going to say. Not really that way with this chain because we have governance, which means proposals are submitted, and then the community and the validators have to vote on that before anything can get passed. So it's not really that way. Well, the reality is that most of the community has no idea on these proposals, what is going to be good, what's not going to be good. They are listening to whoever it is that runs whatever faction that they happen to subscribe to. They're listening to other people to tell them this is good, that's bad, and then they go ahead and vote on it. And even with the validators who you would think would know better, a lot of times they don't vote at all. A lot of them don't have a clue. And the ones that do have a clue have different clues than the other one. So, and then you've got voting power differences, right? So you've got something that's passing, and you got a lot of, maybe a little validators who voted for it. You could have 2 or 3 of the big ones come in and vote against it and put the kibosh on the whole damn thing. It's not working. It's not working at all. They're still fighting. There are still arguments. All right. So anyway, this is what Strathcole had to say about this particular whatever, right? So I was like, well, who are these people? What were they even talking about? And I didn't go back to the paper that they actually submitted or whatever it was that he read, but I kind of saw their little rebuttal, if you will. And he says, hey, Strathcole, let me take a stab at this. And this is from Neon Rabbi. I have no idea. Is this the original rabbi that we used to deal with? I don't know, right? Let me take a stab at this. Before I do, I got to say one thing, though. You got to learn to love harder. Try it. It feels much better than hate. I find it comical, but, it wasn't meant to be comical. It was a stab. So if you scroll down, you'll see, all right, so he goes through point by point. This person, I say he, I don't know who this is. We're not trying to centralize the chain at all. Moonrabbit XLA is currently self-funding to produce upgrades we feel will help Lunk Classic. So they're going out and buying their own groceries to throw in this chicken soup. Regarding the DAO, it's for our internal group, Treasury. Nothing more. Lunk has governance to coordinate chain-wide liaisoning. All right, that was tough to say. Our team members value their privacy. They do speak in internal meetings, though. You have to understand that the Lunk community has no leverage to demand any concessions or stipulations from our developers, given the community pool isn't paying them. This is a self-funded initiative. Well, that's good. That's bad. Right? It's good that I guess you got a group that's not asking anything from the community pool, and if they genuinely are just trying to do things to try to help the pool, I guess that's okay. But what they think is going to help the chain isn't necessarily what someone else thinks is going to help the chain. And the fact that they're not taking anything from the community pool, again, can be seen as a positive and a negative, right? Strathcole and something else goes on to talk about how, in that previous thing, goes on to talk about how, well, if we don't know who's funding you, we don't know basically where your allegiance lies, okay? You can go back and forth with this stuff until you're blue in the face. The fact of the matter is we don't know the intentions or the agenda of any of these people, right? This is a non-argument. This is on his third point. This is a non-argument. Every LUNC validator is a private entity whose goals may or may not align with those of the chain. We don't know who's behind most of them. All you need to know is that we want to help fix Luna Classic and help it grow. That's our main goal. Well, it's not all that a lot of people need to know. A lot of people want to know who it is, right? Who it is, what's your agenda, what's your idea, does it align with what we think? Number 4, but you don't respect governance, Strath. Neither you nor HCC nor Vin look at non-PPJ props you've put forth. You're all TCC, so please don't gaslight me about, now we start getting a little aggressive, right? Don't gaslight me about being separate entities. Regarding community Commonwealth, it's just a forum. No law saying we can't use multiple separate ones. So again, here's the thing. We're talking about decentralization. Well, this is what it spawns, right? You have renegade, potentially rogue entities coming in and saying, you're not paying us. It's open source. We can do whatever we want to do, however we want to do it, right? And we obviously they put up the proposals or whatever and put it up for a governance vote. But again, if you've got enough influence and if what you're doing sounds good, like it might help, you'll probably get the votes. It's just like any other election system or political system. It's all about popularity. There's so many things that go into it that have nothing to do with whether or not it's actually good. Okay? But this is what you get from decentralization. So, Strathcole, I just want to bounce back and forth a little bit. Oh, actually, let me... so no one vetted most of the L1 team prior to being paid. It just turns into a big argument, okay? Right back at you with HCC, Happy Caddy Crypto. The amount of nonsense and flat-out lies he spews on a daily basis would be entertaining were it not egregiously deceptive. We all have our quirks, Strath. No one's perfect, but that doesn't mean the MR team can't push good code that'll help Lunk. And then you talk to somebody who says that, HCC is the best thing that ever happened to this chain. It's a constant battle, right? Yeah, I wanted to go back real quick to the Strathcole thing. First of all, the group has criticized L1 and others for presumably trying to centralize things. Here's the thing. Remember when Alex Forshaw came up with his initial proposal for repeg? And he used a really bad word, right? He used the word mint. And he talked about potentially minting more LUNC to achieve this goal temporarily. Well, everybody flew off the handle. This one word, mint, triggered so many of you. It was unbelievable because, minting is what got us into this problem to begin with. How can you even talk about minting? It was a word that was put on a list that you just do not use anymore in this chain. It became a bad word, right? Well, another bad word for everybody seems to be centralization. I have in the past, both on the old Agora and on Medium, I've put forth proposals, not necessarily proposals, but ideas, spelling out how we could somewhat centralize, yet still keep community control. In other words, have one focus, one goal, one team to enact the initiatives, right? One team to come up with a plan and offer us ideas, but still be able to be, accepted or denied or whatever by the community. I'm one of the few that I know of who have not been afraid to say this nasty word, centralized. But it's such a triggering thing that for so many people in this chain, in this community, that no, we've got to remain decentralized. We've got to remain decentralized. You're trying to take control. Guess what? Everybody's trying to take control. And as long as you remain decentralized, you are opening up this chain to exactly this kind of stuff, where somebody can come in and say, we're funding ourselves. We can do whatever we want. You can't tell us what proposals to put forth. You can't tell us what forums to use. You can't tell us anything, right? And it just breeds dissension. It breeds arguments and tug-of-wars, right? This is what this decentralization that you all are holding onto so tightly is getting you and has been getting you for the past 2 years. I have to ask, when? When are one of you? See, I've been saying these things, but I have no influence. Listen, I got, less than 2,500 followers on my YouTube, 3,000 on Twitter, and everybody knows I'm a construction guy. I don't know anything about writing code or developing or anything like that, but I think I have some pretty good common sense. And I dare say maybe a little more common sense than I notice from a lot of you, right? When is somebody who actually has the power, who has some influence, maybe who is developing on the chain, when is somebody going to have the balls to say exactly what you know is true and say that bad word and say, listen, it doesn't necessarily have to be us that's in control, although I don't think anybody would say that because the problem is everybody wants to be the ones that are in control. But when is somebody going to say, the community needs to decide on one team with one plan, with one vision, solely with the ability to affect this chain according to government? When is somebody going to have the balls to say that and not be afraid that if they use that word centralization or leadership council or any of these other things that it's been put forth as over the last year and a half or so, right? When is somebody going to have the balls to say it and not worry about the repercussions that the backlash that they're going to get from the community? Because I think everybody knows at this point, you're not going to get anywhere otherwise. Every time you come up with a good idea, even if it's a good idea, if the other guy didn't come up with it, they're going to be against it because they want to be the ones that are getting the glory. They want to be the ones in the control. They want to be the ones who rescue the chain. They want the attention. They want the money. It has not stopped. It has gotten worse, right? Somebody, please have the cojones to step forward and say, this isn't working. This isn't working at all. And we need to centralize. We need to come together. We need to come up with one plan. And we have to make it so that everybody in the community can't just come and start throw seasonings into our chicken soup, because we're going to end up with some kind of fucked up jambalaya that nobody wants, because that's exactly what we have right now. Talk to y'all later. Ciao.